The clock struck 9 p.m., and Anita stepped into Jide's car, completely unaware that this would be her final journey. She smiled at him. Jide forced a smile back, his hands trembling on the steering wheel as he drove toward the outskirts of town. Jide had been through this before, but something about Anita made him hesitate. She wasn't like the others, her innocence, her laughter, her unwavering trust in him. It gnawed at his conscience, but he pushed the feelings aside. There's no room for emotions in this business, he told himself. Anita sat quietly, staring out of the window as the city lights faded into darkness. Something about the drive unsettled her. "Jide," she finally said, "where are we going? This doesn't feel like a date spot." Jide clenched his jaw, avoiding her gaze. "It's a surprise," he muttered, his voice colder than usual. Anita's unease grew, but she convinced herself to trust him. After all, Jide had been nothing but kind and caring. What could possibly go wrong? On the other hand, Mary couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling clawing at her. Something didn't feel right about Anita's date. She had tried to dismiss the thought, convincing herself not to ruin her friend's special evening. But as the hours passed and her messages to Anita went unanswered, her anxiety deepened. When Mary tried to call, the line wasn't reachable. Her heart raced. Something was definitely wrong. Jide pulled up to the abandoned warehouse, the same place he had used for all his previous deliveries. Anita hesitated as she stepped out of the car. The eerie silence and desolation sent chills down her spine. "Jide, what is this place?" she asked, her voice trembling. Jide avoided her question, gesturing for her to follow him inside. Every step felt heavier than the last as they walked into the dimly lit building. Inside, his clients and two enforcers were waiting, their faces shadowed by the flickering light of a single bulb. Anita froze, realizing too late that this wasn't a date, it was a trap. "Jide, what's going on?" Anita whispered, her voice shaking. Jide turned to her, his face a mask of cold indifference. "I'm sorry, Anita. It's nothing personal. It's just business." Her heart shattered as she backed away, tears streaming down her face, before she could say more. Anita screamed as one of the enforcers grabbed her, but her struggles were futile. Jide stood frozen, watching as she was dragged away. Every fiber of his being screamed for him to stop them, but fear and greed chained him in place. Desperate, Mary contacted Anita's elder brother, a police officer who worked in another city. She explained everything, Jide, the late-night date, and her growing fears. Anita's brother didn't waste any time. He immediately called a local police station in Anita's town, demanding urgent action. The officers moved quickly. Using the phone tracking system, they located Anita's last known position, a remote warehouse on the outskirts of town. Time was critical, but the distance to the location meant they arrived too late. When the police finally stormed the warehouse, Jide was LED gone, leaving his client's boys to finish up the work, but the scene was horrifying. One of the client's men was carrying a cooler containing the harvested organs, heading to the car. Another man was dragging Anita's lifeless, bloodied body, wrapped tightly in cloth, toward the trunk of a waiting vehicle. The officers apprehended the men, but the damage was already done. Anita was gone. News of the arrest spread quickly by morning. Mike called Jide to warn him that their client and his boys had been caught. Jide was shocked and panicked. The clean, calculated system he had worked so hard to maintain was crumbling before his eyes. Realizing the police might come for him next, Jide packed his belongings in haste, planning to flee town. As he started his car, he froze. The gate to his compound was blocked by police vehicles. Stepping out of one of the cars was Anita's elder brother. His eyes were filled with rage and heartbreak. He stormed toward Jide, grabbing him out of the car, and unleashed a flurry of punches, screaming at him with tears streaming down his face. Jide barely fought back, stunned by the wave of emotions that crashed over him. The other officers pulled Anita's brother away, handcuffing Jide and leading him to their vehicle. For Jide, the game was over. Mary sat in her room, tears streaming down her face as she replayed the events of the night in her mind. The weight of guilt was unbearable. If only I had acted on my instinct sooner, she whispered to herself. Maybe Anita would still be alive. Her heart ached, but she knew she had done everything she could in the moment. Anita's death was a cruel reminder that some decisions come too late. Meanwhile, Mike had been tipped off early enough to disappear. By the time the police began searching for him, he had already crossed state lines. His escape, however, was no victory. The guilt of introducing Jide to this life and the paranoia of being haunted would haunt him forever. Jide sat in the cold, damp cell, staring at the floor. Anita's face flashed in his mind, her warm smile, her laughter, gone because of his greed. His heart was heavy with regret, but he knew there was no undoing the damage. He had paid the ultimate price for his choices, and now, he would spend the rest of his life behind bars, haunted by the lives he had destroyed. Kindly support this page by giving us a follow, like, comment and share to your friends.